everyone, it's Stephanie, finally back with another fiber-related video. Welcome back everyone. I'm sorry I've missed last week's video, but I've got Crohn's disease and I've been feeling a little under the weather. Plus, all of my kids are starting back to school this week. So you would think that would give me more time, but it's turning out that instead I just have more errands and more things to do with that time. So hopefully as things even out and I adjust and they adjust, then I'll be back to a regular video schedule. I'd really like to put out 2 videos a week. And to do that, what I might do is have one video focus on fiber and the other video focus on bookbinding or making junk journals. I'm not sure yet. It might end up being just both fiber videos, but just stick with me and we'll figure it out together. So anyway, what I wanted to do today is talk about something that seems like it should be pretty self-evident to us, but at least if you're me, it's taken me a long time to even get to the point where I can realize this is a need in my life. And that is the need to play, to just play with fiber, play with whatever hobby that you have, instead of being so deadly serious about it all the time, instead of thinking that it has to turn out perfectly all of the time. Today, I got my drum carder out and I made 2 bats using exactly the same source materials, same color, same everything, but I played around with the second bat a little bit more and it turned out completely different than the first one. Now I like both bats, but because I let myself just play with the second one, I learned a few other techniques, things that I'll probably be sharing in future videos, and I think it's going to spin up more as an art bat than as a traditional bat would. And I'm going to show you the bats. First, there is this one. It's white on the outside, but as you unroll it, there's this beautiful gradation of fiber, or of color, sorry. This one is mostly just 100% merino. There's a little bit of alpaca in here because, well, I like to throw a little bit of alpaca into everything I do. But this is my first, the first thing I did today. It's very traditional, you see. I would probably spin, I don't know, a worsted weight or I'm sorry, a DK weight or lower yarn from this. It's very light and fluffy, so you could easily do a woolen spin using this bat. And you wouldn't have to do a traditional yarn. You could do an art yarn with it also. But I'm just saying, compared to the second bat, using exactly the same material, but coming up with something completely different, just because I decided that I didn't have to make it be perfect. I just wanted to have fun and see what would happen with the fiber. And this is what I came up with for the second bat. Again, it's white on the outside. Now this one is about 50% merino, 50% alpaca. And then on the inside, again, you can see the same color. You can see a little bit of sparkle in here, but the color is much more subdued. I've got some flax in here. I've got some sari silk. I have the, I can't remember, Angelina that sparkles. There's actually a lot more of it than that's showing on the camera. Let me see if I can get up close. There you can see some of it. So I really like the way this one turned out, just because I think it would make a beautiful art yarn. And I'm really happy with all of the texture in it. You see, even on the back, it's not completely smooth. There's a lot of texture in this bat. Now I didn't put as much fiber per fiber weight is what I mean. The first bat weighs a little bit more than the second bat does, just because I was getting tired and ready to put everything up, so I went ahead and stopped. But I could have kept adding fiber to the second one and make it just as large as the first. But what I want to say here really is that when you let yourself play and you let yourself go, you can discover things that you wouldn't have if you had adhered just rigidly to the rules. So I think that's important for all of us as fiber artists, and that's what we are artists. It's important to let ourselves play with our tools, with the fiber. I'm trying to start designing patterns, and what I'm finding is that when I let myself play with the yarn and just get out a stitch dictionary and knit something just for fun and just sort of make it up as I go along, it goes a lot better than when I sit down and try to work out all of the math first, do all of the graphing first, and then follow that pattern rigidly. Now, for some of you, that might work better than just sitting down and playing, but there's still a place for play in your life, because that is where our inspiration comes in. That's where we stumble across new ways of doing things, and we can add that into our repertoire. So I wanted to say all of this, and then I thought I would start spinning this second bat with you and just show you how it goes, and we can both figure that out together. So if you'll hold on for a minute, I'm going to set up my wheel and then we can get spinning. Okay, so I've got my Echo set up. I'm sure all of you realized I'd be using the Echo. Since we're going to do an art bat, we'd be spinning a more textured yarn than the traditional yarn. And I have absolutely no plan for this bat. I just want to see how the colors play together. I want to sort of decide as I go on which textures I'll be letting the yarn form. So yeah, I really have absolutely no plan. I think as I look at this, now I don't have to pull it apart, but I think I'm going to pull it section by section, and we'll see what we come up with as we go. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm just pulling off a length of the bat. When I get to the end here, I'm not pulling it all the way off. Instead, I'm going to just start going down the opposite way here, and then I'll pull it off. I don't have to pull it off. I could leave it all together, but this is going to be easier to manage for the video. So what I want to do, all I have in mind right now is doing something that is chunkier, that has a lot of texture to it. So I don't know if I'm going to do a thick and thin, or if I'm just going to sort of let it go and see what happens. First thing I'm doing is I'm joining to my leader here, and I've got a really thick piece going through here. And I'm doing hold on, actually I'm changing the setting on my whirl to my largest setting because I don't want as much twist in this yarn. What I think I might do is just do a slightly modified thick and thin, meaning before you've seen me do thick and thin where I do it in a very structured way. I'll turn my hand like this, pull forward, then leap over the thicker part, and instead I think I'm just going to spin thin and then just come on down here, pull this out, and then have a thick area. So it's not as structured. I'm just pulling out pieces as I go. Here's a nice big portion of the sari silk that we're going to have. I'm holding this a little longer so that the sari gets spun in there more. I'm just pulling out thick sections and loosely, very loosely spinning it together. And it's making a really pretty yarn. I really do like it, you all. Now, whether it'll hold together or not, I'm not sure. But again, I'm just playing and finding out as I go. I'm going to do a little bit of thin areas here. or thinner, I should say. Now, if I wanted this to be a yarn that I was going to make something like a shawl from, I would need to make more than the bat that I have, because spinning this way is using up a lot of the fiber. I'll have half of the bat spun in just a few minutes. And what would I make with this? Well, I think that this would lend itself beautifully to a very open shawl design or a very open, airy scarf. I think that could be really pretty. Just letting that go. And I'm really liking this, the Angelina or the Stellina, whichever it is, that I've gotten here. The flax is also adding a nice texture. Let me see if I can get in here a little closer for you to see. See what we've got? It's nice and fluffy. It looks sort of cottony almost, like clouds. Cloud-like, I'd say, is the best texture for it. Here we come to some more sari silk. I'm gonna let just sort of do its thing there. And you see back here, I'm holding this really loosely. I'm treadling slowly, so the flyer is going around very slowly, and that's on purpose. I do not want a lot of twist in this yarn. Let me show you what I've got so far. See, it's very low twist. It still twists on itself though. It's still got some in there holding it together, but it is holding together nicely still. And I'm liking the pale, very pale bits of color in through here. So all in all, I'm enjoying spinning this. And that's the point of this yarn. Actually, isn't that the point of all of our spinning, is to enjoy it? After all, we're not doing this anymore because we have to. We're doing this because it is play for us. But I wonder how many of us have forgotten that that's what it's supposed to be about. I know I do. I forget that a lot. So anyway, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. And what I hope even more than that though, is I hope that you will get out your wheel, get out your fiber, your knitting, whatever it is you do, and just play with it. When's the last time you've taken up a ball of yarn and just sat down to knit without any pattern at all? Just to knit. Free-form knitting. That's what I'd like to see all of us do every once in a while, just because it adds so much to our life. No one's going to police you on what you're doing. No one's going to tell you that you're doing it wrong. And if they do, well, I'm going to say the opposite for them. They are certainly doing it wrong because they're taking the enjoyment out of it. So do it any way you want to. And that's it for today. So I'm Stephanie Nipper. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please like and subscribe, and even hop on over to our Facebook group and post your work. We love to share our work with everybody. Until next time, I'm Stephanie Nipper.